I'm going to quickly slot my pressed powders in here. I don't have a lot of pressed powder anymore. I used to have quite a few. I have the number 7 Cream Touch powder. This is an excellent value for my powder. It's got 20 grams in it. Same with the Matte Maker. This has like 16 grams, which I have had to repress mine. This bad boy is the Superstay waterproof powder, and it is in a sorry state. We have the Mercier Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting powder, which I don't know if they make this anymore, to be honest, but it is a beautiful illuminating pressed powder. The Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette has shade Dim Light, Incandescent Light, Radiant Light. I'm sure most of you have seen this before, if not have owned it at some point in your makeup life. I struggled for a while to decide where to put this in my collection, but I've decided pressed powders is probably the best. Because apart from the darker shade, which I use to franken bronzers, these are more like finishing powders. And then lastly I have this one from Avon, the Flawless Mattifying Pressed Powder, which is just a very classic pressed powder, but just handy to have for the makeup bag. So those are my pressed powders. Not a huge collection, which I'm perfectly fine with. I mostly set my makeup with loose powder, so I don't see a point in having lots of pressed powders. And I also don't tend to get too oily during the day either, so I don't need a lot of pressed powder for touching up. So here we have the rest of my loose powders. Again, there's quite a few. I have my Chanel, which is the old style. This is in the shade Clear Translucent 1. Very nice. I have two from, I think I have 3 from Revolution actually. No, 4. I have 4 from Revolution. I have the Lace Baking Powder, which is their dupe of Ben Nye. I have this one, which is the, I think it's the Conceal and Define powder. It's translucent setting powder, and the packaging leaks, so it annoys me to no end. So I'll be happy to get that one used up. And then I have 2 from the I Heart Revolution range. We have the Peach and the Coconut. The Peach has more of like a peachiness to it, more brightening, and then the Coconut is more of a straight up baking translucent powder. I have 4 Ben Nye powders. I have Rose Petal, Buff, Super White, and Pretty Pink. I like to kind of combine them, and I press them into an old number 7 tin, or into an old Laura Mercier container, and I make my own little franken powder out of them that I use periodically. Speaking of Laura Mercier, I have the Under Eye, the Secret Brightening Powder, which I kind of just want to get used up. It's so diddy and it's cute and everything, but it just needs to get used up. We have the RMS Unpowder, which is the most intense setting powder ever, so if you have oily skin, this will be your best friend. I suggest using it very sparingly. I'm considering frankening this with other powders just to sort of modify its mattifying effect. I have a bunch of Avon ones, which, if you guys know, I was a fairly successful Avon rep, and I purchased products for stalls in late 2019 for stalls during 2020, and then 2020 happened, so I kind of have a lot of Avon stuff left over. I have 2 of the color correcting pearls, one still in its box, and well, they kind of turn crazy, but they are a beautiful illuminating setting powder. one of these is actually, I think it's this one. Yes, this one is actually the pearls from this Guerlain tub, the Crazy Pearls. Again, beautiful illuminating powder. Sorry, you can't even see it. It's a beautiful illuminating finishing powder. But in the tin here, I have a mixture of Avon pearls. So we have some of the soft focus finishing pearls in deep, some in fair, some in light. So there is light, there is fair. Mix in a couple of the deep ones just for good measure. And then I also mixed in some of this bronzing glow in Sunset Glow, which I know isn't necessarily finishing powder, but it has the overspill from this box in it. And they combine perfectly to make this beautiful setting powder, which I really, really like and will work my way through. And the other Guerlain finishing powder I have is the Pearls, the Legend, which these are just the most stunning, beautiful. Oh, they're so nice. I just wish I could just bite the bullet and use them. It looks like I have two No. 7 powders, but actually one of them is a Sicily powder. This one is actually a Sicily powder in Irisy. That was highly recommended by the late Mel Thompson. And yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it goes without saying that she was a great impact on the community, and we all have little pieces of her in our collections from her influence and just her sheer joy, and we want to join in her joy. So this is my little piece of her joy right there. Let's not dwell. But this one is the No. 7 Perfect Light Translucent powder, and I do love this powder. I've gone through several jars, clearly. And it's just a really nice, light setting powder. It's beautiful. I have, I forgot to mention this with the other Avon products. This is the Mark HD powder. I don't know if they still make this anymore. It's basically the same as the e.l.f. one, maybe slightly less powdery. This is the Clarins mineral loose powder. I have it in the shade 3, which is the darkest shade, but it has a nice, the assistant told me that the peach quality has a brightening effect to your skin, and I agree, and it looks beautiful. And then lastly we have the Becca Golden Hour Soft Light Blurring Powder, which is effectively the same thing as Clarins. So there we go. And it is the most awkward packaging, to be perfectly honest. So there is that. That is my loose powder setting powder collection right there, and I've got powder all over my chair. Oopsies. And lastly, we have my foundations, which is the most excessive part of this video. Definitely not the most excessive part of my collection. No, no, no. That little treat is still to come. So I'm just going to do a little section here and pop them back in the basket and then get the next section out. So here we have my Giorgio Armani foundations. So bougie. We have the Lasting Silk, the Luminous Silk, and the Power Fabric. I have these two are both in the shade 2. Actually, they're all in the shade 2. But shade 2 is not consistent across the ranges, I will say that. But they are lovely. I have a Clinique foundation in Super Balanced Silk Makeup. I have the shade Silk Porcelain. My Kat Von D Lock-It foundation, the shade Light Cool, which I refuse to be defeated by. I will finish this foundation someday. Now this is the point where I'm actually going to declutter something. I see one. Where's the other? I'm going to get rid of this MARC Glow On Radiance foundation because I've never used it and I don't want to use it, and I'm not really as active in Avon Wraps I used to, and plus this is a discontinued product. Oh, here's the other one. This is the MARC Nude Matte Fluid Makeup, which when I used it, it just kind of pilled on my face. And I wasn't sure if that was just a one-off, but I've just not gone back to it. So, yeah. Gonna get rid of these two. And I think that might be all I get rid of in here. I have my two Urban Decay foundations, which I believe both of these are discontinued, I think. We have the All Nighter and the Naked Skin foundations. I have my Dior Forever Perfecting Makeup Everlasting Wear in the shade 10. The Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue in the shade Opal. I have a couple of number 7 ones here. We have the Hydroluminous in Porcelain. This is beautiful. The Protect and Perfect Advance in the shade Calico. I actually bought this on the recommendation of Tara Baby Z, and I haven't used it yet, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to it. I have the Lift and Illuminate from number 7, which is a really nice foundation. I think that's it for number 7 in this section, but there are more in the other part. Let me just whip those out, just get them out of the way. Here we are. And then we have the two Stay Perfect foundations from number 7. I have the Classic and then the Super Light foundation, which is like a water weight foundation. It is really, really nice. I think the Lift and Illuminate was in Calico too, actually. Yep, Calico. That seems to be my shade of choice. Calico in that one and Calico in this one. My MAC foundations. I have quite a few MAC foundations. We have the Pro Longwear in NC15. We have the Studio Sculpt in NC15. We have the Mineralize Moisture Foundation in NC20, which I don't think they make this one anymore. This was a sort of hand-me-down from a friend, which is why it's a slightly different shade. A couple of other MAC ones. Where's the other one? There we are. We have the Studio Fix Fluid in NC15, and then we have the Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation in NC15, which this, guys, is a dupe for the Tom Ford Waterproof Foundation. Yep. It costs about the third of the price of the Tom Ford, so it's definitely worth looking into. And I have the Tom Ford in the shade Cream. I have two Chanel foundations. One is the Perfection Lumiere in Beige Rose, and then we have the Perfection Lumiere Velvet in the shade of Beige, which is, again, one of those sort of water weight foundations. I remember loving the Perfection Lumiere. I don't know if I've actually used the Velvet. So yeah, there are those. I have a bunch of Max Factor foundation. I have the Skin Luminizer, which is discontinued. We have the Miracle Match, which I believe is also discontinued. And we have the Aegis Elixir Miracle Foundation, which I think might still be in production, but possibly not. So I definitely need to work on getting those guys used up and out of my stash. I have two Maybellines, and these have been reformulated at least twice since I bought them. The Dream Satin Liquid and the Super Stay. I love them both, so I keep them. I have two from L'Oreal. Where's the other one here? I have L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Matte and the True Match Super Blendable Foundation, which I believe has recently been reformulated. So I'm going to try and work on getting these two out of my collection over the next year. I have one from Primark. This is the Perfect Finish Foundation, medium to full coverage. It is actually really, really nice, and it's only $2.50. So yeah, if you have a Primark near you, worth checking out. Let's dive into my Revolution collection. I have 3 of the CC Perfecting Foundation. I love it. I thought it was getting discontinued, so I bought some backups. We have the shades F0.1, F1 and F0.5. Then we have my Conceal and Define in F1, Conceal and Hydrate in F1, Conceal and Glow in F1, and then we also have the 2 XX Revolutions. I forget what these are called, but this one is a mattifying one and this one is illuminating, and I have them both in the shade FX1. And then I have my these ones. Where's the third one? Here we go. We have the Revolution Pro Full Cover Camouflage Foundation, which again I loved. We have the shade F1, 0.5 and the shade F6. I'm sure the shade F8 as well. Maybe not. The reason I had such a dark shade is because I had them in my makeup kit. That's how much I loved them. So yeah, these are sadly discontinued, which is a shame because it was such a good formula. So that is my Makeup Revolution collection. Just pop those to the side there. Oh, I forgot these when I was talking about Max Factor. These are the Lasting Performance Foundations. These are really nice. They're a gentle, medium to full coverage velvet finish foundation. I have the shades 102, 106 and 105. So pastel, natural beige and soft beige. I do also have the shade 100, which I think is Fair Ivory, but I can't find it. I know I have one, I just don't know where it is. So yeah. Again, they were in my makeup kit, which is why I have so many different shades of it. Speaking of things from my kit, we have my Smashbox foundations. These are Smashbox Studio Skin. These I love so much. I have the shades 1.1, 0.5 and 2.4, which is such a drastic difference in shade range. It was perfect for fake tanned bridesmaids. I have my other Avon foundations that I actually still like. We have the new Age Transforming Foundation, which is really, really nice. It's in shade Ivory, and it really reminds me of like the Touche Éclat from YSL. It's beautiful. We have the Flawless Liquid Foundation in the shade Porcelain, which is really nice, and the Power Stay in the shade Porcelain, which not my favourite. I would definitely recommend the Flawless Liquid over the Power Stay. I have one from Oriflame. This is the One Illusion Aqua Boost. No, Illuskin Aqua Boost Foundation. And this is in the shade Vanilla. And this is such intense coverage. And it's really thin and lightweight, and for something that's from, now I don't want anyone to think I'm saying this just because it's from an MLM, but something that's from an MLM, this is an amazing product. Oriflame has some very underrated products. I just wish more people knew about them. Rimmel Lasting Finish. Love this stuff. Gone through several bottles over the years. Revlon. Photo Ready Airbrush Effect Foundation, which I think they've discontinued this. I think they still have the foundation primer, but I think they've discontinued. Oh God, I can't talk. I'm talking over myself. But yeah, they still have the primer, but I think they've discontinued the actual foundation. I have the Mercier Candle Glow Foundation, the Candle Glow Soft Luminous Foundation, which has separated a bit, so I need to give that a good mix. The Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation, which I have in the shade 1N1. Actually, I should tell you what I have here. This is in the shade Light Porcelain. This is in the shade Vanille. I actually don't know if they still make this, actually. Hi, cat. Nice of you to make an appearance. And my Revolution Photo Ready was in Ivory as well. I have one from Clarins. This is the Everlasting Foundation. I used to have this in a really dark shade called Wheat, but I loved the formula so much that I bought it in a lighter shade. This is in the shade Ivory. We have the YSL All Hours Foundation in BR10. The Becca Aqua Luminous Foundation in the shade Fair, which, as we all know, is discontinued. My two NYX foundations, which have been discontinued. And a foundation mixer in white, which I don't know if they still make these anymore. Again, this was in my kit. But these are such nice foundations. I wish they had kept the HD one instead of going on to that Can't Stop Won't Stop one that everyone hates. So the HD foundation I have in the shade Nude, and the Invincible I have in the shade Fair. They are both beautiful. Beautiful. And will be sadly missed when they're no longer part of my collection. I have my Born This Way foundation from Too Faced. I have the shade Snow. The Matte Velvet Plus from Makeup Forever, which I bought on the repeated recommendation from Makeup by Tiffany D. This is in the shade 15, I think. It says number 15 on the bottom, so I'm guessing that's the shade. I have my Lancome foundations. I have the Tinted All Ultra, which I've gone through several bottles of. I even have a backup, and I also bought the Tinted All Ultra Cushion foundation, which is still in its box, as you can see. I have one from NARS. This is the, what are you called? All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation, and I have this in the shade Mont Blanc. And it is this most bizarre, liquidy, watery, textured foundation ever. A Vichy one. Derma Blend in the shade Porcelain. One from Technic. This is their Pro Glow foundation in the shade Unknown. In the shade Unknown. I also don't know. It doesn't say anywhere. Ivory. It's in the shade Ivory. And it's really nice for mixing in with fuller coverage foundations. I have a foundation stick from Clinique. This is the Chubby in the Nude. In Abundant Alabaster. And lastly, I have these cream foundation compacts from Avon. This is the Ultra Matte Cream to Powder Foundation in the shade Porcelain. Which looks like that. The Flawless Cream to Powder in the shade Porcelain, which has a really nice dent in it right there. And then we have the new Age Transforming Cream to Powder Compact in the shade Porcelain, which has like the sort of skincare foundation blend swirl going on in there, and I don't think it would take me too long to finish those guys up next year. But that is it. Those are my foundations. Now, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I know I said I wouldn't I was going to try and be as brief as possible. I hope I didn't ramble on too long. Just sometimes you can't help yourself when you have a product and you want to describe it when it's in your hands. As I say, if you guys want any actual in-depth ranking videos, let me know. Like if you want to know my favourite Revolution foundations, or rank my foundations in general, let me know. Obviously I wouldn't be able to rank something that I haven't opened yet, but everything else I could probably do something about. And yeah, so that is all of my base products. Is a lot. It really is. So I will be focusing very heavily on this category, on these categories in my project planning in 2022. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down if you didn't. It's a-okay. I can take criticism. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.